And you know, a lot of people fake it till they make it. When we start in real estate, a lot of us fake it till we make it, you know. But you're exuding confidence and you have that warrior mentality that allows people to trust in you because they know that this guy will not, or this person will not let me down, you know. And I think confidence is a very high part of it, very, very high part of it. And if you're confident enough, you will learn and you will figure things out. If you do not have the confidence in yourself, it makes it very difficult in this business. At the end of the day, it's about happiness. At the end of the day, you want to live a happy life. If chasing after dollar signs is not making you happy, then you're not living a good life, whether you achieve it or not. You got to be happy. You have to be good in your own skin. And that is the most difficult thing to achieve in life. Personality has three levels, right? You have what you are at your core, what you project to others, and what others see of you. Now, if you look at the three graphs and they're the same shape, that means you're very consistent and in a very good place. Sometimes we have what we see called a deviation ratio, which means what you are in your core doesn't reflect what you show to others and doesn't reflect what others see in you. Then you have some type of conflict that you're dealing with in your life. And you could identify that very easily in doing like little personality assessments.
Le domaine du courtage est en constante évolution. Dans une ère technologique où le changement est presque assuré et inévitable, il faut plus que jamais rester à jour et s'adapter aux tendances innovatrices de notre domaine. Vous voulez apprendre des meilleurs courtiers hypothécaires et immobiliers du Québec? Vous voulez devenir un leader dans le courtage? Voici le podcast qu'il vous faut. Les courtiers du Québec avec Seroujan Kenishalingam.
All right, welcome everybody. I'm really happy to be here with Roger Vassallo here. Real estate broker agréé, courtier immobilier agréé. How do you say it in English?
It's a certified
real estate broker. We're going to do this in bilingual, so please be attentive because it's going to be a great podcast. I'm really happy to have you, Roger. I've been seeing you since I started real estate. I've been watching your stuff, and I told myself one day I'm going to invite you, and you're the one your team who's the one who contacted me first. So it's crazy how, you know, everything comes back together. T'es courtier immobilier depuis 18 ans. You know, it's been a lot of time now.
Very long time.
Very long time. Tu as commencé dans les années 2005. Tu as une équipe de 7 personnes. Ton équipe se spécialise dans le résidentiel, autant dans le propriété investissement. Donc, tu fais beaucoup de choses, Roger. Tu es aussi cofondateur de Keller Williams au Québec, n'est-ce pas?
Oui.
Donc, tu as amené Keller Williams au Québec. Donc, j'ai vraiment hâte d'apprendre. Tantôt, on parlait des investissements, comment t'aides les clients à faire des home runs, comme tu dis.
Oui.
Alors, ça, c'est des choses qui m'intéressent parce que ça, c'est mon type d'investissement que j'aime faire. Je n'ai pas 5, 10, 15 ans à attendre après que cette propriété prenne l'appréciation. I want to make my money right now. So you have that same mindset. So let's go. We're gonna share investment tricks, brokers, like how they can build their business also. Those tricks. We're gonna talk about it pretty much everything. Merci d'être là aujourd'hui avec nous.
Thank you for giving me the time of day. I like this. I enjoy what you guys are doing, and I haven't been on a podcast in a while, but let's try and get our feet wet again.
Man, I wish I had the same voice as you. You know, I wish I'll be like a badass.
It's a blessing and a curse, man. It's a blessing and a curse.
You were saying it's a blessing and a curse. Why is it a curse though?
Well, because when you go into a loud place and you want to order some food, not everybody hears you.
That's it, right? That's the only curse.
That's the only curse, but I'll live with it.
Yeah. Do you have any special stories with your voice, like people?
I have a special story every week when somebody says, "Hey, Roger, can you go get me a drink at the bar?" and the waiter can't hear what I'm saying. That's my special story.
You were saying you sound like the Godfather, right?
My friends used to make fun of me all the time and say, you sound like the Godfather. We're going to call you the Rajfather.
Rajfather, that's crazy, man. Crazy. I'm jealous, by the way. I'm very jealous. So, Roger, tell me about yourself. Like, why did you start real estate, and what's you're doing right now in today's market?
Man, you know, in 2005 it was a different world. I came back from a career, like I graduated university. I was working in a bank at the National Bank. I was the directeur des services financiers at the National Bank, and I had studied politics, and I was like doing a lot of volunteer work with like a member of National Assembly and a federal minister. And when the federal minister got reelected, he offered me a job. And I started working as an adjoint politique ministériel at 23 years old for a federal minister, who was ministre responsable de l'Agence de développement économique du Canada. And I was there for a year. It wasn't really for me. At that time, I was due for a raise, and they gave me a raise, but I was looking at the amount of money that you were working in the public sector, and I was like, thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to try my luck somewhere else. And they were a little bit surprised because they thought that that was the direction that I would be going into, because I had, I was a charismatic guy. I was a young guy. I had a lot, I was one of the youngest political assistants in Canada at the time for a minister. So they thought maybe I would stick into politics, and I didn't end up doing it. And next thing you know, I end up 3 months unemployed, asking myself what I'm going to do with my life. And my cousin David Kassir, who's the CEO of Mana Capital Management in the U.S., flew in from the U.S. to spend the weekend with me and discuss what I could be doing with my life. And real estate came up because, historically, I've never been the type of person that liked to be told what to do. I always did my own thing. I had a very entrepreneurial spirit. And, a few months later, I get a part-time job on the side, which was a big deal because you're a university graduate. You figure you're going to come out of school, you're going to get jobs and this, that. And I just didn't see myself working in an office. I got my real estate license in 2005. And then in 2008, I got chartered to be able to open my own agency. In 2011-12, I started meeting with the ownership group of KW Urbain, which was the first KW office in Quebec. And next thing you know, in 2013, we're opening the first Keller Williams in Quebec. So, I mean, it was like a gradual thing.
You were the first.
So my partners and I were the group that brought Keller Williams to Quebec, the first agency, which was Keller Williams Urbain. And then we opened KW Momentum, which is now a division of KW Urbain, which was the office in Brossard. And one of our associates, Rock Thomas, ended up opening KW Prestige. And then, KW and Gatineau ended up being open, and so on and so forth. So that's how sort of the whole thing. And Melanie Dubois, which was also our partner at Urbain, managed to open the KW office in Villeray, of which I'm also invested. So that's sort of where the story, in a nutshell, happened. Obviously, my cousin David Kassir, who's been a big inspiration in my life, was really, even though he was in finance, was very well invested in real estate. So he always kept that mindset of mine that you have an opportunity as an agent when you become an agent, not just to be an agent, but to be an investor, and that you have first dibs on a lot of investment opportunities.
We're going to talk about that, obviously, the fact that you're also investing in real estate. I think that's one of the major advantages of being a real estate broker.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I got into mortgages, because I knew I made my first money at 18. I bought my first property at 18. And then 3 years later, I sold it. I made it like 50 grand. I'm like, holy shit, 50 grand at 21, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how can I learn faster real estate? Is by working in real estate. I didn't like selling properties. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was into finances, micro economy. So I said, I search on Google, what's a mortgage broker? Somebody told me about mortgage brokering, how they work. They can work from anywhere in the world. I heard a guy from Vietnam who was working for Quebec Lines, but from there. So holy shit, what's that job? He said to mortgage broker. So I searched on Google, mortgage broker. I learned that we could work from anywhere. We were working with all the banks. It's a free services for the clients. I'm like, how come it could be hard?
Yeah, of course.
It can be hard. But then I realized that when you got into business, it's much harder than I thought.
You know what it is? I always say about real estate, it's not that, we're not rocket scientists. We're not trying to develop the next biggest, spaceship. But it's a hard business. It's not for everybody.
It's a very hard business.
You know what it is you could be very good at real estate, but I think it's one of those few businesses where hard work trumps talent, And if you got that dedication and that mindset that you want to put in the work, you should be getting the results.
I do believe that what you just said, hard work beat talent, especially in this market, right?
I know a lot of guys that are very strong in sales. They got the gift of the gab, but they just can't figure out real estate because it's that type of a business.
What do you think so?
I think because at the end of the day, so if I look at my sales at the end of the year, right? 75% of my business, 75 to 80% of my business is either repeat business or my sphere of influence. And 25% of my business is like, generated from, lead generation activities, which are either, voice, face-to-face, web, social media, and direct mail. And why is it on my day-to-day that we're focusing so much on our team on doing that, which is like, direct mail and voice and face-to-face and calling people and doing all the, social media ads and all that? The reason why is because as your 25% increases, so does your 75%. So whatever output that you're doing allows people who already know you to solidify that your claim on your niche. And in so doing, you will get people calling you. So if you're invisible to the rest of the world, then that 75% pool that you're getting every year, well, that 75% represents less sales.
I feel like there's what you mentioned earlier, like there's good sales guys that can figure out real estate.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the reasons is because you have to have different talents in real estate.
100%.
You have to be genuine. You have to be a hard worker. You have to have a charisma. You can't be like a narcissistic, all by yourself, all for yourself. You can't be that kind of person.
No, and you know what, like if you ask around, I get along with everybody, but at the same time, I don't like the real estate agent mentality. I never considered myself to be a real estate agent. I've always considered myself to be a real estate professional, and there's a difference.
There's a difference. Let's talk about differences, right? So you told me earlier the differences. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, in my opinion, there's three types of agents on the market, successful agents, that is, okay, or agents or brokers or whatever you want to call them. There are the brokers that are very good at representing buyers and sellers. And they can take a buyer, work with a buyer, close a buyer. They're very good with the seller. They take a listing, they sell a listing, whatever they need to do to become a successful agent. And, and they're very good at the transactional side of real estate, and you'll always hire them for transactional real estate. Then you have the agents that are able to develop it into a business, which, Gary Keller calls the 7 levels. You could read up on it in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. But basically, these people treat it like a CEO of a business, and they have their buyer's agents, their listing agents, their showing specialists, their listing coordinators, their admins, and so on and so forth. And they build it like a 7-level business where hopefully by the time you get to the 7th level, you're not so much involved in the transactional, and you have your entire team managing the whole thing from A to Z. When you get to that 7th level, you really own a business that's, worth owning. And then there's the people that are what I call real estate professionals. Now, real estate professionals are not a CEO of a business necessarily, and they're not an agent that's, just focused on transactional. But these are people that are actually investing in real estate, doing flips, doing optimization projects, doing land dev, doing whatever they need to do to make money in real estate, and are able to advise their clients accordingly. And people come see them. They're not trying to hire the agent that has 165 listings. They're trying to hire somebody who's actually can speak their language when they're a very high-level investor, or if you're not dealing with that, can show them how to make money in real estate, right? If they're a little bit more green, or if they are specialized in a specific niche of real estate, how to make money in another niche, or how to move on to other types of real estate. And when you become a real estate professional, you quickly realize that the competition is not other real estate brokers. Your competition is other types of investments. So a lot of my clients is, why would I put money in real estate when I'm making this much return on the stock market? As we all know right now, the stock market, shit the bed, pardon my French. But at the end of the day, it's what it is why is this investment opportunity better than the other investment opportunity? And a lot of times what you'll notice is guys who are in real estate and make money off real estate, swear off real estate, they're not always well vested in the financial side. But there's a lot of guys in the financial side who want to jump into real estate and just don't know how to go about it. Now, if these people come in and they just hire a transactional real estate agent, they're missing the whole picture, because you sort of have to identify what kind of investor they are, which is something we talked about earlier, because when you're getting into investments, you're talking about different philosophies on how to invest. And we talked about hitting home runs. Not everybody wants to hit a home run,
You were talking about the book first. I don't want to forget about it. So the $1 million...
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, yeah.
And what is it about? Like, what's the book about?
It teaches you how to build $1 million real estate business, and how to be, how to achieve basically the 7 levels of real estate. So, your first level would be you hire an admin. Your second level is you hire a buyer's agent. You keep going down until you have a 7 level where the business is operating without
easily duplicable book, right?
Of course, it's it gives you the model. It even gives you your operating expense ratios, how much you should be spending on.
It's crazy, yeah. So guys, that's a nugget right here. The D millionaire
real estate
broker,
yeah,
agent. Sorry.
Yeah, that book is it's a Bible for a lot of real estate people. But again, that's if you want to achieve that. Now, keep in mind, everybody's got a different goal with what they want to do in this business. At the same time, if you want to build a 7-level real estate, it's the same model that you would apply for any other business. At the end of the day, if you retire tomorrow morning, a lot of agents are not in a position where they're able to sell their book of business. What they end up doing is they take referrals for the rest of their lives on the clients that are still calling them. But if you want to sell a business, you have to have a business to sell. And a business to sell means that you have to have predictable income with different sources of lead generation that are working over time, that you're able to demonstrate and show that this model is replicable. So all the person has to do is buy the business and use the same formula, and they'll make money.
It's all on the system that is sellable, right? Like obviously, if you're just selling your database, if there's any money worth on the database, meaning like
there is, but it will be a limited time,
right?
It will be a limited period of time, because at one point people will forget you because you're not out there anymore. It's like McDonald's. Why do people buy a McDonald's? They buy a franchise. They know that they already have the whole system from A to Z. They don't need to remake the system. The system is there. It's applicable. It's working, and it's bringing in this much money. You're buying a predictable thing.
Somebody told me in the past, like, if you want to become a millionaire, you have to work on the system, because hiring agents, it's a good model, but that's not going to make you thousands of millions of dollars or.
Well, because for every hire that you make, there's a certain level of management that's expected. We're humans, right?
Yeah.
So humans involve management.
Humans, they're needy. So
yes.
they want the best service, and unfortunately, it's not always profitable. And
That's right.
There's always turnarounds. There's always a problem. It's a daycare. So, but system, if you build a system that works, people will buy it for millions of dollars, because they know they could take that system and apply it in their business and make a lot of money.
Yeah, there's a lot of good books about systems. Like if you read the book called Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's different philosophies. You could be goal oriented. You could be really focused on results, which has been traditionally my approach. You focus on the results, not how you get there. But if you have a systems thinking, sort of like what they discuss in Atomic Habits, if you just follow, the system and the pattern that you need to, it will innately achieve what you want it to achieve without having to be goal driven. So if you build a system around achieving the results that you want, and you repeat that system over and over and over again, you will get the results.
I went to Miami last year, and I don't know if you know Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
Big mentor of mine. He told not me personally.
Yeah.
I wish, but he was talking to thousands of people, and he told us, if you want to become a millionaire, you have to teach other people how to teach other people how to teach other people your system. If you have a system that works, and that system can be taught to other people, and you could just let it go. You could just get out of the system and still works, because people can teach it to other people. That's when you make money. In sales, if you're able to teach a system that works, and this person who taught, they can teach other people, and that the other person can teach other people, that's where the money is. So I don't know what.
That's what Grant Cardone does, basically.
Grant Cardone does it too. I'm pretty sure Grant Cardone copied from Patrick Bet-David.
It doesn't matter. It's a model that exists, right? Yeah. Success leaves clues, as they say. That's an old adage, right? If you want to learn tricks, you just copy what the successful people are doing.
Yeah, the greatest thieves are those who copy well, right?
Of course.
And I feel like that's one of the reasons I do this podcast, because I like to have other people knowledge, and so I can apply it in my business. I'm pretty sure here today we're gonna learn stuff that you could apply in your business. So please, guys, be careful. Be careful when I say be attentive, take notes, and apply it in your business, because a lot of people listen to podcasts, but they don't apply shit.
Yeah, exactly. You could have reasons, or you could have results, but you can't have both.
Right. You were saying about how your game is to also invest in real estate.
Yeah.
I like to say in French, tu peux pas vendre une balayeuse si tu n'as jamais acheté.
Yeah.
Right? Il y a beaucoup de courtiers immobiliers qui vont vendre de l'immobilier, vendre le rêve d'être investisseur immobilier, mais ils n'ont jamais investi dans l'immobilier, ils ne savent aucunement comment ça fonctionne. Côté investissement, côté achat, garder la propriété, optimiser la propriété, faire des flips. But you're that kind of person who does that dirty work also for yourself, and you know that there's a lot of money there, and there's more money sometimes more than like in selling a property.
There's definitely a lot of money, and we should not say that there's not a lot of money in transactional real estate. There is, but there's a lot of money in investments, and the schedule is probably better, right? I mean, if you're working transactional real estate, you're working around other people's clocks until you achieve like a certain level where you're able to 9 to 5 it, which I mean, a lot of people can.
What I mean is like, let's say on a home run, you can make $200,000, $100,000, but
more. I mean, like more,
right? You do more.
But the point is yes, on the investment side, there's definitely a lot of opportunity and a lot of agents that don't tap into it. I feel like when you get trained so much on the transactional side that you don't look at the deal the same way. Whereas if you're an investor, you're always trying to find the avenue. And like we said earlier, there's different kinds of investors. There's cap guys who are looking for cap. You know, there's ROI guys. There's guys that want to be in and out as quickly as possible. There's cash flow guys. There's guys who just want to park their money in real estate and sit on it for as long as they can. I'm saying guys, but guys and girls. It's just for whatever reason, 90% of my client base or 99% of my client base is men. I've seldom met women who are in investment properties, and I think that that's a big opportunity for women to get into that type of the market because we don't see a lot of them. I don't know why they don't have the same level of interest in terms of investing and flipping, but for women out there, it's a good niche for them to be in. I think there's
those that I know, they're the highest people I know, like in terms of how much money they make.
Yeah,
big people who achieve a lot.
Exactly, and there's not a lot of them, and I think it's an untapped market for women. But anyway, just to say, there's different types of investors, and when you're a different type of investor, you see the deal differently. And what is a deal to that type of investor might not be a deal for another type of investor, and which is why we're able to speak the lingo of the person we want to sell to. So obviously, if you have a person that's looking to buy a cap rate, and we have a person that's looking to optimize a property and be in and out as quickly as possible, we'll sell a distressed asset to an optimizer, help them walk through the process of optimizing it or do it ourselves, and then sell it at a decent cap to the guy who's looking for a cap purchase. Now, the optimizer got what he wanted. He was in and out very quickly. He got his money out. And then the cap guy got what he wanted. He wanted something that was already done up for him, that he didn't have to break his head, no headaches, park his money and just sit on the cap. And there's no right or wrong way. Your philosophy really determines that. Like earlier you said, you know, that you don't want to have your money parked 5, 10, 15 years and hope for it to grow. I mean, I don't like that either. I like to be in and out in 6 months. And again, in and out doesn't necessarily mean you're selling. It means you could probably refinance. You could find avenues. You have to have exits, but you have to establish your exits before you enter, right?
Yeah, one of my reasons why I don't like to wait 5-10 years is because I'm into. I see a lot of successful people around me, and they make so much money. I'm like, they make money in a day, like that. That takes maybe a week, a month, sometimes to make that kind of money. And so I'm like, why the hell I'm gonna wait 5 years to make money when I can make it right away, right?
I sort of feel the same way, but again, I don't knock other people's philosophies because everybody has a role in this market, and real estate's big enough for everybody, right?
Right.
It's the biggest single need in humanity, right? And again,
I know you're a good guy. You don't want to knock anybody.
I mean, look, I have my own philosophy on how I like to make money. I'm not going to knock other people's philosophies because at the end of the day, I can represent all those clients, right? And at the end, I can understand a doctor that doesn't have time. I have friends that are doctors. And I know that they're preoccupied with a million other things, that they're not going to go in there and buy a property, rehab it, and go through the whole process of buyouts and optimization because they don't have time. It's perfect, but they still want to invest in real estate.
But would you say that it's fair to say that the home runs are the better, investments.
If you want to make money short term, they are, but you need to have a high risk tolerance. I don't think everybody in this world has a high risk tolerance, right? So if you look at the different personality types, the DISC model, you have the D, the I, the S, and the C. The D is the driver, the I is the influencer, the S is the stabilizer, and the C is like the cautious, right? So on the spectrum, you have what we call extroverts, and you have like people-oriented people, and you have task-oriented people. So you have introvert, extrovert, task-oriented, people-oriented. So I'm a high D, so I'm a driver. The driver makes me, I'm a task-oriented extrovert. My way of seeing the world is really based on how fast I can move in and out of things, and that's just the way I see things. If you're dealing with, for example, a C, which is the opposite of my personality, they would be a task-oriented introvert, and they are really focused on the process. They're perfectionists. They don't like anything to fall through the cracks. Where I could live with things falling through the cracks as long as the end goal is achieved, they're really focused on the process, and they don't like to make mistakes. And then you have the stabilizers who are very people-oriented and want to keep the peace all the time, and they can achieve a lot through people. Or the influencers, which are extroverts and work very well with people, and they do very well in sales, which is the high I. Now, every personality type has an influence on how you see or perceive or deal through real estate, whether it's in your business or on how you approach your investments. And a lot of these people have a higher risk. Some people have a higher risk tolerance than others. High Ds have a super high risk tolerance, whereas Cs don't necessarily have it because they're a lot more cautious. And they want to make sure that they could guarantee 100% before they get into anything. If you understand who you are, it's easy to understand why your investment strategy is based out of it. It comes out of your personality type, right?
Can you tell me more about the different type of investment that your clients are interested?
Well, I mean, you have land development guys. You have guys who flip land development, which means they'll find they'll set up a parcel so that it's ready to sell to a builder. So the builder is not necessarily looking at the deal the same way as the guy who's trying to sell it to the builder. And you have guys who are looking to optimize buildings.
You were saying that before, like how do they see it, and how does the one who's buying it see it?
Well, if you have a builder, the builder wants something that he's ready to build tomorrow morning, and that he buys it. This is how much it costs him per door. This is how much the soft costs are going to be. This is how much he could sell them if he's selling them into condos, or this is how much he can rent them for, and that's his takeout based on refinancing CMHC or not. And that's the way that the builder is looking at it, right? And whereas the guy who's selling it to him is saying, if I buy these assembly of lots, or I buy this big lot and I subdivide it, or whatever it is your strategy is, I know that a builder is looking to buy this in this area, this much per square foot, or this much per door. And as long as I achieve that, I can make this much money without even actually having to build it. Different way of looking at it. And then it's the same thing for, like we talked about, people who buy cap rates on buildings. They want to know a headache-free building with a good cap rate. And then the guy who's selling to that guy is a guy who's saying, you know what, I'll do all the dirty work. I'll buy a building that's a distressed assets. I'll buy out the tenants. I'll optimize the units, and then I'll sell it to a guy who's looking for a good cap. I'll give him the good cap. So the way that guy is looking at it is not the same way the other guy cap, but they're all looking at cap at the end of the day, but they're looking at it differently, because when you're buying that distressed asset, the cap is probably not where you want it to be.
Since it's a real estate podcast, my question for you is, what is the best type of deal that a broker can find in those niches? Like, is it the distressed properties? Are they easy to find? Is it the investment, land, develop, all that stuff? Like, which one is the best?
Again, it really depends on your philosophy. I know people who swear by land. I know people who swear by land development and that kind of stuff. But and I know tons of people who, because right now land dev is hard. And I think I was reading in the last 2 months, there's been 0 land sales in the island of Montreal, and that's the first time it's ever happened. And the reason why that's happened is because the cost of labor is high, the cost of materials are high, the cost of borrowing is high, the cost of land is high. So it's not the perfect recipe to make successful to have a successful project. And having said that, we are in a bit of a housing crisis, and what's the best way to quell the housing crisis is to provide inventory for the market. And if these builders are not building, well, we're not addressing the housing crisis because we're not supplying the market with that inventory. Which is great if you're a landlord right now, by the way. If you're an owner of a building like myself and a lot of my clients, you've noticed that the rents are going up innately without having to do a lot less renovations in terms of your assets. You don't have to put in so much money in your apartments or your units to be able to achieve that. Look, I mean, real estate's such a broad spectrum, and it really depends on like how you approach it. There's money to be made everywhere. There's money to be made in industrial. There's money to be made in commercial. You just have to understand the niche that you're getting in. Now, if you're going to ask me which one's better than the other, I mean, I have a certain affinity right now for multi-res because I know the model, I understand, and it's people need housing, and the rents are going up like crazy, and there's a lot of win-win deals that are happening. But I mean, you're not wrong to get into industrial. You're not wrong to get into retail. Retail, there's a hell of an opportunity right now. I know my retail guys are chomping at the bit right now with all these opportunities that are provided for them.
That's good to know, Roger. And thank you for explaining to me the different ways you can invest. But in your business, in multi-res, like what is the best investment you're saying easy to find for your buyers, your sellers? No,
if you want to hit home runs, you have to take like distressed assets. Now, again, distressed can mean many things. If you buy a building with very low rents in an area that has very high rents or has the potential to achieve very high rents, and it has a demographic and it's easy to achieve, right? So, because that's the other element of it is how do you achieve, what is the likelihood that you're going to be able to achieve the optimized rents in that area? Like, are you buying a building that's all families or people over 70 or so on and so forth? Or are you buying a building where there's a lot of single people in their 20s and 30s who are willing to talk about being bought out of their leases because it's an opportunity for them also to cash in and then go buy a property with the money that they have or pay off some of their student debts or whatever. So the level of which, okay, so this is a building with low rents that has easily achievable to achieve their max potential in rents. And if I do this, here's how much I could get on a refi, or here's how much I could resell the building for if I achieve that. And then my realistic time frame is how long will it take me to do this? 6 months, a year, so on and so forth. So that's sort of where, where there is definitely an opportunity. And how do I identify that? I mean, it's like anything. I could give you all the tools in the world and tell you exactly, here's the formula. 99% of people won't use it. Or 99% of people won't have the balls to actually execute the plan. Or 99% of people don't have the wherewithal to actually approach a tenant and have a conversation about being bought out. And you know what? It's having a conversation about buyouts, you won't necessarily get the reluctance that you have, because people who don't want to move will tell you straight up, and people who have a price will tell you straight up. And it's like people who are afraid to pick up the phone and call a person. Like, what's going to happen?
Like once you surpass that mindset where you're actually do believe those investment will actually works, it's just part of the process. If you follow the process, it's going to work out. There's no way you won't make it. That's what you train your clients. Do they come already trained so they already want exactly what they want? Or sometimes you have to like explain the whole process. You have to work on their mindset. So
no, that's a good question. Like, I mean, we get people who do this for a living and they hire us because we understand what they're doing. And then we don't have to explain to them that process, and they're very familiar with the process and how to do the process on their own. They just want opportunities. So those people, you have to be able to identify the opportunity, evaluate the opportunity, and then see it the same way that they see it. And then you're able to sell them that asset. Now, then you have people who want to get in the game or who've owned little apartment buildings or whatever, but have never really done a whole optimization process, and they want to learn about the process. And yeah, we walk them through it.
How do you do that? Like, you put people around them. Like, obviously, you can be in hand in the transaction with them.
Look, I told you before. There's different kinds of brokers. There's real estate professionals. There's CEOs, and then there's just really good agents. Again, these are all the successful agents that there are. But when you're a real estate professional, innately working with a real estate guy that actually understands, or a girl that actually understands how to make money in real estate and how to achieve that and knows the formula, you will innately be learning just being in the process and following through on the step by step.
So you put the people around just to help him out. Like obviously, if this person doesn't have any...
Well, we have many consultation meetings. And second of all, it's not because somebody wants to do it that they're able to do it. And sometimes once you go through the process with a client and you try and do the acquisitions of certain movables, and then you see that they're not ready for it, you have to have an honest conversation with them and tell them, look, I don't know if this, I know you want to do this. I don't think you're ready for it.
Do you have a process of how many meetings you have to do before?
Look, you know, people will tell you this many meetings, is that. I mean, I have an idea after the first building that we try and acquire. I have a better idea after the second. If we get to the third building and it's the same story and they haven't done, then I have to sit with them and say, look, let's just try and change your philosophy because you're not ready for this.
Amazing. So after the third one, you exactly know if we need to have a conversation or not.
Yes, but again, sometimes you'll figure it out on the first time. You know, it's, you know what it is. We're human, right? So it's a case by case. I like to say 3 because I've worked with clients that they told me what they wanted to do. I got them exactly what they wanted, and they didn't pull the trigger. So immediately I said, look, this is exactly what you asked for me. This is exactly what we agreed on. So are you sure you want to do this? So
what are the type of criteria that they're looking for? Okay, let me put you an example. So me as a client, I'll be one of the hardest clients if that's what I want to do. So I'm like, okay, I want $200,000 of profit on a transaction. Is it something that it's common for a client to ask? Okay, I want that $200,000 home run I want to do. Like, is it something? Yeah,
we can never guarantee anything, but if you stick to the formula, there's a way to achieve it. Again, we're not in a we don't promise anything because again, part of it, there's on paper and then there's in practice. But of course, if you're trying to hit a home run, you might hit a home run, but sometimes you won't hit a home run. You'll hit a double or a triple, which is still good. At the end of the day, if you want to make $200,000 a year real estate and you want to do it in a year, then you have to follow a certain
I mean, in a transaction where there's optimization to do, and I can create that $200,000 of appreciation on a property, that kind of deal.
That's not that hard to achieve.
That's not hard to achieve, man. I'm your client. I'm your client.
It's not hard to achieve if you know what you're doing and you're buying the right assets. Now again, I say there's a difference between it's not hard to achieve versus it's guaranteed. There's no guarantees in life, only death and taxes. But it's not hard to achieve.
That's what I like to say. Also, death and taxes.
Yeah. So you gotta know what we're doing. I don't get into deals if I'm not. I'm not looking for 5-10% on the deals I'm doing. I'm looking to double my money. You know. Definitely.
And let me ask you this: someone who's listening to this and he's a new broker, who's like, yeah, I have real estate, I have residential, I have investment properties. Okay, it's cool now that you're able to help other clients make money, but the problem is it takes more time on the consultations. There's this guy's gonna call me like 100 times because he has this problem, that problem, this problem. So there's, at the end of the day, you're spending so much time on a transaction where on a residential side, just one time and that's it. You're passing to another client. What's your intake on that? Like, what's your mentality? Are they wrong? Or
I see it differently because especially like agents that are, when I used to do residential, I was selling about 100 to 150 properties a year residentially, and I found that to be a lot more like time consuming and stressful than working with investment clients. Look, I still have a residential team. My wife Lucine, she's the director of our residential sales and acquisitions. And the residential side has its challenges. And there's a lot of that element where you're working on nights and weekends, and it's harder to be, I guess, working 9 to 5. Whereas on the investment side, a lot of it's 9 to 5, and you don't really work on weekends, and you're not dealing with as many clients at the same time as you would on the residential side. So, are you spending a lot of time with your clients? Maybe. I don't think you're spending as much as on the residential side though, because residential is very emotional. You know, like, oh, I picture my daughter in this room. Oh, I picture I could picture doing barbecues there. Oh, all this stuff. You know, oh, I like the white, but I prefer it a little off-white. Like, this is residential. Like commercial, okay, what's the deal? How much money am I making? How long does it take? I'm in and out. So you're not dealing with the emotional side. You're dealing with like egos. It's very logical, but ego-driven. But the difference is you gotta have a tough stomach, because like it's very common in commercial real estate or investment properties that people get lawyered up and say, oh, you're gonna hear from my lawyer. Oh, well, fuck you. You'll hear from my lawyer. Oh yeah, okay, you want to do? I'm gonna sue the seller. Like, we talk like that, and it's not
personal.
It's not personal, and we're used to it. But I know a lot of residential real estate agents, when they start hearing lawyers or they start hearing about, oh, I'm gonna take you there, they start cringing and they start backing up. But this is just part of our game, man. This is like, you have to have a tough stomach. It's not for everybody.
What's the most thing? What's the something that you really like about multi-res?
Well, investment properties generally, but I don't just do multi-res, but I do investment properties. Okay. I think what happens is, I'm not a fan of having to go through emotional roller coasters with my clients, and I see it with my wife all the time, who's still doing successful residential real estate agent, and she has to go through, the gauntlet of emotions with her clients, like right now with the people who are on variable, the rates going up, how it's affecting their life on the day-to-day, their monthly payments and so on and so forth. And then people, where am I going to live? What am I going to do with my kids? I sold my house. We don't deal with that in commercial. So what we're dealing with is, I have this money that's sitting there. I got to do something with it. I don't want to not doing anything. Find me a deal. Now, the difference is, you have a lot of, mostly in commercial, the guy that holds the deal gets the deal. There's less exclusive agreements. Exclusive agreements are less common than on the residential side. I'm not saying that exclusive contracts don't exist. They actually do. There's some agencies that do commercial that focus exclusively on working with people with exclusive mandates. But
do you believe in that?
Look, it's not that I don't believe in it or I do believe in it. I just think that that's the reality of the day. A lot of us old school guys, we were used to working without it. So it's a benefit to have it. At the same time, it doesn't limit me from doing deals if I need to do deals. I like to have flexibility, but, the flexibility goes both ways. Like, your clients, can have flexibility with you, but you also have flexibility with your clients, because you don't always want to work with some of the people. Once you work with people, you realize that they're not a fit for you. And you know what? I've built my business in a way where I want to spend time with people that I like to spend time with. I'm not at the point anymore where I want to just take anybody for the sake of anybody, drive all across the city and all that stuff. It's not what I do. I want to spend time with people that are like-minded, that I want to spend time with. And then the clients that come see me that are not a fit for me, I'll have a fit for them on my team, because like I said, there's different personality types, right? So, but I'd take a look at it like, I don't have to work with the client either, and a lot of agents don't have that mentality. And I'll work with who I want to work with. That's it. That's all. You can have a very successful business working with who you want to work with. You can have a better life too. Choose the people you want to work with.
You were saying earlier, I want you to share with the audience. There's always a why, right? There's always a why we do things, and it's been the past 18 years that you're not stopping. You're going full force. And I asked you, what's the reason why you're still going at it after 18 years, and you still have that passion? You're doing this. You're coming early in the morning, and you're doing a podcast with me. You're sharing with the brokers. That's very nice of you. But why are you doing this, Roger? Like, you don't have to do it anymore. I'm pretty sure you could retire right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, my nickname is Legacy Facilitator. And
I love that name.
Yeah, thanks. I build legacy. Well, part of it is, I grew up in a house. My father came here as an immigrant. He came during, very difficult circumstances, and he managed to accomplish a lot and build a family and build a legacy for himself. He was an only child, He supported himself. And he found ways to succeed, and give us a good life. Having said that, when my father died when I was in 2009, when I was 29 years old, I felt like, he hadn't seen the best of me, and, I remember like when I was sitting on my dad's deathbed and I had never told him I loved him. And I wanted to tell him, Dad, I love you, and I was about to tell him, Dad, I want to tell you something. And he said, don't say it. He said, I already know. I've done everything I've had to do on this earth. I came here, I raised 3 kids with your mom. All my kids are self-sufficient and have made it. I got to see my first grandkid. I've given back to community. I've given back to the world. I've done everything I needed to do on this earth. And now I'm ready to go.
You actually said that?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I think that achieving that point where you can look death in the face and say, look, I did what I had to do. I'm ready to go. Involves you doing what you got to do and being ready to go when your time comes. And a lot of times that means that, you got to keep pushing. And I felt like when my dad died when I was 29, he hadn't seen the best of me, And, when I was a kid, I was getting kicked out of high school a lot. I went to 5 high schools in 4 years. And it wasn't a question of my grades. I just didn't like authority. I didn't like being told what to do. And, a lot of it was my ADD personality, my high D-driven personality. But that actually in the entrepreneurial world is actually a benefit, which we don't teach kids enough on. We don't identify those kids who have that in them. And then they get treated, especially back then, you get treated like you're an outcast because you can't sit down and you're a jittery kid. But there's an asset there to be polished like a diamond. You know what I mean? Pressure creates diamonds. It takes pressure to make diamonds. So basically, like once my dad died, and I felt like I wanted to show him the best of me after he died, and that's sort of where the whole legacy thing came out of, because what's legacy, right? It's what you leave behind. And what you leave behind is not necessarily money. It could be money. It's not necessarily real estate. It could be real estate. It's not tangible things. It's intangible things. It's your name. If you leave behind a name, you make it very easy for your children. You make it very easy for the legacy that follows you. So your actions in this life are going to predetermine whether or not you have a legacy worth leaving behind or not. And maybe that doesn't mean anything to you, but it means a lot to me, because the person who believed in me the most while I was getting kicked out of those schools, and the person that was telling me, look, I know that this is just a phase. I see a very bright future for you. I see that you're a special person. Nobody understands that. And fuck them, because you're going to make it. And I used to think my dad was crazy when he was telling me that. He believed in me when nobody else believed in me. So for me, this is my way of giving back. Maybe that means more to me than other people. Fine. Whatever your engine is, that's my engine, right? And the thing is that there's no real finish line. Like we always, like goal-oriented people hit the finish line. Once they get there, they have another finish line. Yeah. It's like this unattainable thing. That was my
other question. Like, yeah. How far will you go?
You'll go as far as your motor takes you. And, life circumstances create different goals, right? Like, I think a lot of people focus too much on the money, A lot of people focus on how much money I'm going to make and this, that. At the end of the day, it's about happiness. At the end of the day, you want to live a happy life. If chasing after dollar signs is not making you happy, then you're not living a good life, whether you achieve it or not. You got to be happy. You have to be good in your own skin. And that is the most difficult thing to achieve in life.
And I feel like the easiest way where you can be really happy is when you help other people.
Of course. That's the highest level of fulfillment, right? So Maslow's pyramid of needs, right? Once you get to the highest level, you're giving back. And when you're giving back, so people have this concept that giving back is a selfless act. It's actually a very selfish act. Okay?
Very selfish act?
It is a selfish act. Because what happens is, you know, I often say this, like when you get referrals from people, the people who give you referrals are very quick to point out that they gave you a referral. Oh, I referred them this client. Or I gave him. And if you go back to them, they will refer you more clients. They like to have that ownership on you that they've referred you clients. It's like a pride thing for them. And when you go see those clients who refer you clients and you go see them again, oh, thank you, you got more people. They'll keep sending you people. Because for them, it's like they get to brag that they've contributed to you, you know?
And they can come back to you and they, I need this, I need that.
Yeah.
You help me out. Obviously, you're like, you have to now because they help you. They help
you
so
that
much.
Could be one part of it. But I remember when my dad used to run politics, like there was so many people that would walk up to me and say, you know, I helped your dad win that election. I was doing this and that. And this is true, everybody. But that's how you win an election, is people help you, right? But it's just that the people who brought out a lot of voters for your dad or for somebody that's running, they take a lot of pride in doing that, and they'll let you know about it, you know? So that's where I say it's a selfish act. You're not doing that necessarily for the other person. You're doing it for yourself.
It's a crazy way of thinking.
Yeah, well, you know, look, everybody has, it's okay to be selfish in a certain amount of ways. You know, at the end of the day, you're living the life. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to identify, like I said, there's different personality types. You have to understand that. And I think the biggest flaw in real estate agents today, they don't even analyze personalities. They don't even understand the personality that they're negotiating with. If I identify that I got a high deed in front of me, I know I got to get to the point as quickly as possible, right?
Let me challenge you right now.
Yeah.
What's my personality?
Well, you have a high I personality.
High what?
You're a high I personality. I influencer.
Influencer, okay.
Okay. And you do have a little bit of S, I could see, but so...
What's an S?
S is a stabilizer. But before I get into that, I think the thing is with you, are you more comfortable if I give you a stack of work to do and lock you in a room for 3 hours and come back and check on you? Or are you more comfortable working in a setting with your team and exchanging?
I'll go with the team.
Okay, perfect. So you see, you're more extrovert than introvert, and you're more people-oriented than you are task-oriented, which leads me to believe that you're an I. Now, are you capable of locking yourself in a room and doing the work if you have to?
I'm capable, yeah.
Okay. Does it drive you crazy after a couple hours?
It does drive me crazy after a couple hours.
So, yeah,
I'm able to do it if I have no choice to do it. Like there's a lot of stuff. I'm running a company where I have so much stuff to do, paperwork wisely. Are
you more likely to delegate the paperwork or do the paperwork yourself?
Delegate.
Okay,
if I can have the chance to delegate, I'll delegate all of that.
Now, if I look at your schedule, is your schedule mostly client meetings, meeting with agents, meeting with this, that, on Zoom?
So it's like just today we have a podcast and I have a meeting with a notary of potential partner I'm going to work with. After that, it's all clients, and I'm meeting a new broker at the end of the day.
So then you're an I or a DI. So the thing is, the I is you need to be involved with people. So you achieve success by working through people, not through tasks. So you're an influencer. You're an influencer as a personality type, not as a social media thing.
It could be that also.
Yeah, you could be an influencer, and you could also have a D. Don't forget, our personalities are cocktails of everything. You're not one thing in isolation. And certain areas in your life, you will be more something and less of something else. Whereas, your personality has 3 levels, right? You have what you are at your core, what you project to others, and what others see of you. Now, if you look at the 3 graphs and they're the same shape, that means you're very consistent and in a very good place. Sometimes we have what we see called a deviation ratio, which means what you are in your core doesn't reflect what you show to others and doesn't reflect what others see in you. Then you have some type of conflict that you're dealing with in your life. And you could identify that very easily in doing like little personality assessments.
I feel you got right on point with my personality. I'm still discovering like what I am.
You are a people-oriented extrovert.
If you say so.
Which is an I. And a people-oriented extrovert, I cannot... So I can't take you and make you an accountant. I cannot make you work 9 to 5. You will not succeed. Now, again, any personality could work any job, but what is the likelihood that they will be happy and they will succeed at the job? So when we hire people on our team, we're identifying what kind of personality types they are and putting them in a position where they're going to succeed by giving them a job that matches their personality.
And in real estate, as a real estate broker, that's also something you have to identify on clients And
100%.
And to be a good broker, and I can see why one of the reasons you're succeeding is you're able to like be a chameleon.
You can adjust to the personality of the person that's in front of you, right? So if you see that you have a high I needs a lot of conversation. There has to be some conversational. Where you have to set the limits with a high I is because a high I could talk to you for, I is what you are, by the way, influencer, and I could talk to you for hours. At one point, you have to set up, before you meet a high I client, to say, look, I only got an hour today. I have another appointment, so I'm going to try and rush through it. If I happen to cut you off every so often, it's because I really got to get through this process to go to my other meeting. Is that okay? Yes. Validation. I asked you, is that okay? You said yes. So you will not. It will not be a shock to you when I tell you, oh, hold on, we're going off on a tangent. Let's stick to the question because we don't have a lot of time. These are drivers, right? Drivers, they need to get to the point as quickly as possible. If you're focusing too much on the process and you're talking about everything else, you're going to lose the D. You have to get to the point as quickly as possible.
You want to talk about the goals with them.
You got to get to the point.
You're going to make that $200,000 if you do this in 6 months. Let's make it happen.
You have to get to the point as quickly as possible with a high D because you will lose them. They don't have the attention for it.
Yeah.
A high C is detail.
That's something I will do with you.
Yes.
No, this podcast is going to bring you this. Let's do it.
You have to get to the point as quickly as possible with a D. If you're dealing with a C, you have to go through the minutia of every single detail.
You say that you're able to do everything with different clients who have different personalities.
Yes.
Even though you're a D, you could do it with someone who's very analytical.
Some of them might be more hard for me or more challenging, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. If you identify what their personality type, you understand that these are the questions they're going to have. Yeah. And high C's, a lot of times you're not going to be able to answer all their questions immediately. You would have to get back to them on a lot of the stuff, but as long as you're there and you answer as much as you can, they are very focused on the details. And S, they just need to be reassured. An S really needs to be reassured. Sometimes it's doing this. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
They need to feel that. They need to trust you because they're people-oriented introverts. So
yeah.
Trust is important for them.
I do have a podcast I done in French with Raymond Brisebol. For those who want to listen to it, si vous voulez regarder ce podcast, il y a énormément de conversations sur les différents types de personnalités. Mais c'est sûr que, like, obviously, like, you need to, like, maybe, like, dive into deeply, have different readings just for you to, like, have it, like, something in your back of your head. Is there any book? Is there any documentary, something that you saw? Maybe not.
Look, I read a lot of books. I've read a lot of books, but on the personality types, there's different ones. I mean, actually, if you go on Tony Robbins' website, he has a disc. You could do a personality assessment right there, and then when they give you the results, they actually explain to you what that personality type is. That's a good way for you to learn personality types.
Tony Robbins' website. On
Tony Robbins' website, he has the Tony Robbins disc. If you Google it, and
you ever went to see one of his?
I've seen Tony Robbins. Yeah. There's a certain aspect of tonality, pitch, confidence. If you exude that, you will automatically get business. You have to see it that way, right? Because then it doesn't become necessarily the content or the knowledge that you're speaking of. It's the way you deliver a message that has a high impact on your environment. And if you are able to express yourself in a tone that exudes confidence, people will automatically be confident in you, even if you don't know what you're doing. And, a lot of people fake it till they make it. When we start in real estate, a lot of us fake it till we make it, But you're exuding confidence and you have that warrior mentality that allows people to trust in you because they know that this guy will not, or this person will not let me down, And I think confidence is a very high part of it, very, very high part of it. And if you're confident enough, you will learn and you will figure things out. If you do not have the confidence in yourself, makes it very difficult in this business.
Someone who's starting who wants to have the confidence, but he's lacking on the knowledge side, lacking on the experience side. What's the best advice you can give?
Mentor. Get a mentor. Get somebody that get coached. I think coaching doesn't get talked about enough, but it's a big part of it. Coaching, not just mindset, business coaching, and that kind of stuff. Or you get a mentor, somebody who has a lot more experience than you, to be able to bounce ideas off.
If one of their problems is not knowing what they're doing, not knowing what they're saying, having a mentor that can definitely help you because you could have that confidence knowing that you will get the answer to the client after.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, of course. Again, don't hesitate to ask people that you look up to for advice. I think you have to ask people that you look up to for advice, and you'd be very surprised how many people will give you answers.
What's your next 5 moves, Roger? Like
next move right now, we're rehabbing a house in the Golden Square Mile. That's my first thing I want to check off the box. Second thing, I mean, it's very important for our team members to be well invested in real estate. We make sure that every one of our real estate members does at least a deal a year.
That's something crazy. Like, please dive into it, please, because I'm taking that advice right now.
I think, you know, if you're going to identify yourself as a CEO of a business, it's one thing. If you're going to identify yourself as a transactional real estate agent, it's another thing. If you're going to identify yourself as a real estate professional and that your niche is being able to do flips or optimization or land dev or whatever it is that you have to do, then you have to do it, because you will be able to advise your clients in a better way when you're actually doing it, when you have the boots on the ground and you're getting your fingernails dirty, as they say. So it's important for us that our team members not only do transactions, but invest and learn how to make money in real estate. If they learn how to do that, great. If they're doing that in our team, they stay. If they don't do that on our team, then they're not getting the benefit. We have a great agent on our team, Justin, who just started with us in less than a year. The market's been a challenge right now with the higher interest rates for investment properties. But at the same time, this guy's been grinding it out. And, you know, I want to make sure that Justin is able to make a real estate deal this year.
It's crazy, man. If you want to build a culture, and that's a great advice you're giving here, especially for those who are listening to this and their team leaders, their business owners, and you guys are running a real estate company, having your people invest with you, invest in them by buying real estate. That's a great way. Like, imagine if you do that, would they ever quit you? You know?
No, they'll never leave you. And at the same time, you know,
because you're actually helping them, you know. Like
you're teaching them how to fish.
In a selfish way, you're actually doing it for yourself, but at the same time, you're also helping that person.
No, we have a relationship in which we understand what our roles are, right? And at the same time, if you know, you teach a person, you know, like you teach a person how to fish, you're feeding them for a lifetime, right? If you give them a fish, you feed them for a day. So, like, you want your people to be well set up for the future, and that's something that nobody can take away from you. You don't get to do the social media posts where you say, "Oh, I sold 100 properties this year. Oh, I just listed, just sold." But you know what you get? You get to teach yourself how to build generational wealth. You get to teach yourself how to create passive income. You get to teach yourself how to make money to work for yourself, to work for you, and not being reliant on client transactional stuff, which is great, by the way, don't get me wrong. But it's not the only thing, right? So, like, you know, I have a lot of doctor friends that are very well invested. They still want their doctor income, but they're doing stuff with their money, right? So that's it's an important part of it.
Let's wrap it up, Roger. Thank you so much for having this conversation. I learned a lot. Yeah. I'm pretty sure real estate brokers also did the same. So let me go with the quick questions. The first one is, what's the best marketing strategy that you have for your business that you're applying right now in your business?
So investment properties, the number one way to get deals in investment properties is to pick up the phone and call property owners. There's no other way.
Who do you call exactly? Property owners. Okay, where do you get the database from?
You get it where you get it from. That's another conversation. You can buy lists. There's lists out there. If you look hard enough, you can find them. And that's not the issue always, is to get lists of phone numbers and emails and stuff like that. It's actually taking the time to call them. And once you do that, it's different than calling a homeowner.
You have a time frame, or okay?
Well, a homeowner, when you call a homeowner, they're annoyed. They don't know why you're talking about the house. When you're calling a building owner who owns a building or who owns a land, they're open for business. They bought it to make money, or so they want to hear what it's worth, or they want to hear what you have to offer them.
Yeah. So something that if I were you, I'm not a real estate agent. So what I would do, if I call this person who's a who's owner of this building, I will probably go do my research and come to him. Hey, by the way, your property is selling at that price. That would sell at that price because I just sold one on the corner for this price.
Yeah.
Or
You, for sure, you have to come into it knowing what the property is. But I think I've always said this, right? In sales, you just need to do three things. Okay.
Please tell me.
Identify the motivation of the person in front of you. That's the number one thing that you need to do.
So you will ask him first.
You're gonna, yes, but again, on a conversation and a phone call, there's different ways to approach that, but you need to get to it by the end. You need to identify the motivation of the person in front of you. Number two, you need to add value and add value to the motivation. Why are we having this conversation? Well, this is what you want. This is what I have to offer. And this is how I could give you free value for that. And number three, follow up. And a lot of the agents really suck at this part, man. They don't follow up, man.
Because they don't have systems.
They don't have systems. They don't follow up. They have great conversations and they just let them rot.
Because at the end, you're right. At the end of the day, what we are missing is like we all have 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
And you're a human. I'm a human, so we are pretty busy in our work day. So by having system, or when somebody else can do it for you, that's the best way of doing it.
The follow up is so key. It's not the first person that calls that gets the listing, as like residential agents would say. It's the last person that calls.
It's amazing, man.
It's the last person that calls.
I have so many TikTok videos with you.
Yeah, it's the last guy that calls is going to get it. And it's the follow up, the follow up, the follow up, the follow up. Sometimes you annoy the hell out of your clients. It's all good, man. I'd rather a client be fed up with me following up than not following up and then having them sign with somebody else. At the end of the day, you cannot replace voice and face-to-face. If you were to take the three lead generators, web, social media, and direct mail, and voice and face-to-face, web social media has 1 to 2% conversion ratio, and it's the second most expensive. And the reason why it's 1 to 2% is because you're hitting so many people that you're not going to convert all of them. Direct mail is the most costly, and it has a 3 to 4% conversion ratio. Voice and face-to-face is free. It only involves your time, and it has a 5% conversion ratio. Now, I'm not saying don't do the others. I'm saying the others are there to complement your primary lead generator. And for us, selling commercial, you're not going to sell any buildings if you're not talking to owners. That's just the way it is. You can email them all you want, send them letters all you want. If you're not calling them and having conversations with them, you'll never establish that relationship. It's still a very old school business in that sense.
I want to talk about so much stuff with you, man. But we're in a time frame. But give me an example. Okay, so I'm a vendor, right? And I'm a potential vendor. I didn't say that to you, but I am. All right. And you got my number from somewhere, and you're calling me. Can you please tell me like what are the questions you ask me?
Hi, Sirojan. Hi, am I speaking to Sirojan?
Yes, it's me.
Yeah, hi, this is Roger Vassallo. I'm actually calling you about your building on 123 Pine Street. Would you be interested in selling that building?
I don't know. Like, what do you have to offer?
All right. So are you looking to sell at top dollar, or are you looking to buy something very similar to that?
Well, listen, I had this property for a while. I made a lot of renovations, so I'm willing to sell it to a top dollar. That's for sure.
All right. And what would you do with your money? Would you buy something like it?
Something better, yeah.
Okay, well, I have this building that's not far away because I called you, I call other building owners. And I have this building that's not far away. This is the income. This is the number of units. If I were to sell your building and get you top dollar, would you be interested in looking at something like that?
Definitely if I'm making more money on the other one.
Okay, great. And what kind of money do you need to make on this one?
I'm into like optimization, so like distressed properties. So minimum $200,000 is what I'm looking for.
So now we're having like a real conversation about what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And I have a solution for you. So I added value. Okay. And now I could ask you questions like, okay, how long have you been in this property that you currently own?
5 years.
Okay. What's your goal with the next one? You want to be in it for 5 years?
No. It's going to be a quick one, this one. I made my money on this one. If you sell it at a good price, the next one is going to be a quick dollar where I'm going to do 6 months and I'm off.
Okay, so I could tell you, Sujan, the best conversations that I have are the ones where I don't even talk about myself. The guy doesn't even know who I am and doesn't even ask me.
Yeah.
But just because my questions are in line with what the person wants to do, I'm able to have a conversation with them that extends over a longer period because I'm adding value without really telling them who I am. And sometimes they'll ask me who I am. And I could send them my website, my this, my that, and they'll see who I am. But at the end of the day, once you get into that conversation, now you're getting into analyzing a thing. And then you can say, well, look, I feel like I could deliver on what it is you're looking for. Would you be able to meet at the building? So we could just, at the very least, if we can't see some unit, let's take a look at it outside, touch base.
Even though it's the practice that we're doing right now, it forced me, or it interested me to have that conversation, because you were asking me the right questions that I wanted to answer, right? I wanted to have. So,
but it's easier to have that conversation knowing that these people are investors, and that's their mindset to start. Residential people are more standoffish because they don't have that mindset where, I want to make money off this deal. The investor, most of the time, they bought it to make money on the deal.
If you guys are watching this and you guys are residential brokers and you're now deciding to, after this podcast, going to investment properties, please send all your business to me for your mortgage needs. All right, I'm the one who motivated you guys to change field.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Roger. One last question: if there's a quote that represents you and means a lot to you, what would it be?
If you want something to get done, ask a busy person, because the other kind, they have no time.
Can you please repeat?
If you want something to get done, ask a busy person, because the other kind has no time.
Amazing, man. Nobody told me that.
No? How about no pressure, no diamonds? You like that one?
I love it. I love that too. I love the, the pressure. With pressure, you make diamonds.
Yeah.
When you polish it, you make diamonds. I have so many nuggets. Yeah. And last one. I'm keep repeating last one, because I don't want to let you go. If you have to go back to the young Roger that just started real estate, and you had to give him 1 or 2 advice, okay, with all the experience you have, and this advice you're gonna give him is gonna blow his mind, and he's gonna put it into other places, what it would be?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to blow your mind, but I mean, I would have. I started off on my own, and I learned a lot from trial and error, which is fine. I think it's a great way to learn. I would have mentored up a lot sooner. I would have identified a mentor. I would have actually invested in that way sooner, and I would have invested. I mean, I bought real estate when I was in my mid-20s, but I would have invested a lot more often, a lot younger, and I would have really put my emphasis on investing earlier rather than being transactional. And, I mean, I don't regret a thing, but I mean, I think if I knew that sooner, I would have built wealth a lot younger and would have been doing different things. Maybe right now, I don't know.
It's also because you're having those who invest younger or those who invest earlier is because they're having a conversation like this, if you're a real estate broker or mortgage broker who listen to this and you know that the next step is to buy a property, now we are having those conversations that will motivate you. So
yeah, man, success leaves clues, right? So if you're really surrounding yourself, I mean, you are the average salary of the 5 people that you hang out with most. Now I know salary, we shouldn't talk about salary all the time because it's not about money all the time, but it just goes to show you the mindset that goes around with your entourage.
Yeah, people say mindset, but the salary is a good way of thinking also.
Yeah, you are the average salary of the 5 people that you hang out with the most.
So if around me people don't make minimum 500K, I shouldn't be with them.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if your goal is financially driven, now people bring you different things in your life.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Roger.
There's more than just money out there, guys.
I do know
happiness is the most important thing.
Exactly.
Hang out with 5 happy people, you'll be the average happiness of the 5 happy people.
That's also true. That's all. Thank you so much, Roger. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure people want to see you again. We haven't touched all the stuff that I wanted to talk to you about, but they will definitely have you.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to the next time.
Alright tout le monde, j'espère que vous avez apprécié l'épisode. Pour plus de contenu, cliquez la vidéo ici ou ici. Et surtout, guys, si vous voulez me remercier, n'oubliez pas de commenter, liker, partager et surtout abonnez-vous à ma page pour que j'amène encore plus de contenu uniquement pour vous.